Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be discussing everything we know about ancient Pyrrhia, from all the way to before the Scorching down to the days of Darkstalker. As soon as I thought of this idea, I knew I just had to do something with it. From looking at the different pieces of information we've gotten about ancient Pyrrhia, there's so much to learn, so in this video I decided to compile together some of the most notable things we've been able to see about the continent's history. Please keep in mind that this video does contain spoilers for the Flames of Hope, so if you haven't read that book yet, then please click off the video. Also, before we begin, huge shout out to my patrons: Crazy Roblox Man, LordIsopod, DracoLover95, Springtail Productions, and 3 Moons. Thank you so much for supporting me. Links to their social medias are in the description down below. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. The earliest piece of content we have for the Wings of Fire series is the Winglet Runaway, which takes place before Darkstalker was born. It goes over Arctic and Foe Slayers' escape from the Icewind Kingdom and their journey into freedom that ultimately caused more harm than good. However, the first known piece of history we have is the Scorching. We didn't know too much about this world-changing event prior to the Flames of Hope, but thankfully the Arc 3 finale gave us a much larger insight into the true story of the Scorching. It answered a lot of questions fans didn't even know they had, though it ended up raising some of its own. The Scorching is the first piece of history we're aware of in Wings of Fire, and I doubt we'll be getting anything from before that. It was the most monumental incident to ever happen in Pyrrhia, and it changed who the continent would be for thousands of years to come. Around 5,000 years before the main series, humans were the dominant species on the continent. They lived in vast cities and created massive empires and armies. However, due to territorial disputes, the humans began to grow restless and tried to find better and better weapons to win control with. Cottonmouth, a human who was very outspoken and quite a leader during his time, came up with the idea to steal dragon eggs and train the dragonets inside to fight for them. Contrary to how dragons behave in modern-day Pyrrhia, back then they were just mindless predators acting on instinct. And instead of the current tribes that exist now, the dragons living at the time seemed to be weird hybrids of several different dragon tribes. For example, Freedom was described as having orange and green scales, leaf-like wings, and the eyes of a rainwing. After Cottonmouth's plan backfired, dragons soon began to take their revenge. Angry mothers revolted as their dragonets had been taken away from them and experimented on by the humans, and after some time several mothers banded together to burn down every human civilization they could find. A good percentage of the scavenger population was killed in the sudden attack, and those that did survive fled to safer areas away from where the dragons resided. Instead of building lavish cities and openly walking around, humans hid in fear. Over time, the dragons began to grow more intelligent and took control of their world. They agreed to split dragons into different tribes and appoint a queen for each one. Eventually, the Pyrrhian dragons evolved into the tribes we know today. However, we've still never gotten an explanation as to how or why the Panthan tribes migrated over to the Lost Continent. We know it was somewhere in that time gap between after the Scorching and before Darkstalker's time, because dragons like Freedom did possess traits from those foreign tribes. And at the end of Darkstalker Legends and the beginning of the Lost Continent, we got to see Clearsight fly over to Pantala and help the tribes living over there. Some people have theorized that what would soon be the Panthan tribes were the dragons who disagreed with the idea of the Scorching and taking the lives of humans. The scavengers that ended up living on the other continent were part of Cottonmouth's followers who traveled with him across the sea in order to seek refuge and gain power. The Panthan dragons may have also followed Cottonmouth and his men, because otherwise they wouldn't have known about the other continent or been able to travel there on their own. But then again, nothing has been confirmed yet. There's a huge time gap in which we don't know too much about what happened in Pyrrhia. We can assume that the dragons started to evolve and become more aware, which is how they formed tribes and appointed queens. After that, the earliest piece of content you could read is the Winglet Runaway. After that would be Darkstalker Legends, which introduced one of the most fascinating places we've gotten to see in Wings of Fire, the Lost City of Night. We really got to see most of this ancient kingdom in Darkstalker Legends and Darkness of Dragons, but I honestly loved what we got to see of it. The old Nightwing way of life is one of the coolest things I've gotten to read about in the entire series, and I'd be totally down to learn some more about it. But honestly, the Lost City of Night is such a complicated topic to discuss that it will take a whole other video to really dive into it. If that sounds like something interesting to you guys, let me know. I'd be totally down to analyzing the old Nightwing way of life. Anyways, what do you guys think? Let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!